right behind that beautiful banner there is a handful of experts, and we're going to be talking about dementia and caring for those you love. And I get to be the guest host today on Russ Reels, and I'm going to leave this slide up while we go through the sponsors for this show. Thank you to Kickin' Cancer, empowering individuals to thrive in their cancer journey through support and education, right there in Salem, Oregon. That's kicking-cancer.org. And Heidi Young over at Fidelity National Title in Lebanon. And title companies have been my friends for years, and Fidelity is one of the great ones. fntoregon.com/offices/Lebanon. But call Heidi at 541-259-1073. And the Serve Pro, Team McGinnis. Serve Pro handles a number of things, including fire and water mitigation, biohazards, mold, and reconstruction. And here's an interesting one. They do crime scene cleanup. Just in case any of you need that, reach out to Serve Pro at serveprosalemwest.com. I have never needed crime scene cleanup, but maybe someone out there does. So anyway.
It look like you have an app named Cleanup. You can search for it in the App Store.
Ooh, that was odd. Did you hear that? Some sort of a Siri thing came on. Okay. I don't know how that's going to affect us for the rest of the day. All right. Well, welcome to Russ Reels Live, and we are going to be talking about right here. Dementia and caring for those you love. We've got some great guests today. I am the substitute host because Russ is right now up at Oregon Health Sciences University getting an infusion for his cancer treatment. And I know many people around the world have been praying for Russ. We continue to uphold him and his wife, Leah, as he says, his beautiful wife, Leah. And so he's going to be going through that. Next Wednesday, he's also going through radiation treatment. So we'll keep you posted as to what Russ's status is. But I'm grateful to have you all here, Jenni, Holly, Trina, and Laura. So with that, let's go through and let's just get some introductions. Who are you? Where are you at? And what's your connection to dementia and caring for those you love? Jenni, let's start with you.
Okay, well, good afternoon. My name is Jenni Grove, and I'm marketing director at the Oaks at Lebanon. So we're assisted living and in retirement living. My connection with dementia really started my daddy was 65, about in 2009. And when my daddy was diagnosed with Alzheimer's, and just the whole journey that we went on as a family with that was, he passed away then, and when he was 76, so it was about 11-year journey with that. And just a horrible, thing to have to watch with your relatives and watch just the decline, and from a brilliant man to just someone that barely recognized us even as his kids. Fortunately, my daddy was one that kind of declined on a happy level, not angry and not upset, that kind of thing is very happy, but he did it was just a horrible thing, sad things to watch. It was hard. So that's where I got started, kind of on even really knowing what dementia was, or Alzheimer's. And then since then, probably since 2014, 15, I've been on the walked in Alzheimer's committee for the local walk here. And then our team at the Oaks raises between $8,000 and $15,000 a year for that walk. So we're very committed to that cause and finding a cure.
Fabulous, fabulous. Holly, let's bring you up.
Hi, Scott. Thanks for having me on. I am the Director of Development and Outreach for Mennonite Village, and we're a continuing care retirement community in Albany, Oregon. We have independent living, assisted living, and of course memory care, which is part of the reason I'm here. We have about 24 folks who are in our memory care unit here at Mennonite Village. And we also have a team for the Walk to End Alzheimer's. We're a big supporter of that. And I was fortunate enough to be on the committee last year with Jenni. Really great group of volunteers. And Russ has been a huge part of that as well. So just want to shout out to Russ for spearheading that group as well.
Fabulous. And let's bring Laura up.
Hi, great to be with all of you. So I'm with Lumina Hospice and Palliative Care, and we are a community-based nonprofit organization that provides compassionate care and support for individuals, families, and caregivers facing serious illness and end of life. And we serve Lynn and Benton County in Oregon and provide support to anybody in the community that is in a caregiving situation or experiencing bereavement, regardless of whether or not they have somebody on hospice service here. So our education and support programming is available to the whole community, and that has been one of my lenses into dementia, is working on the caregiving side and seeing that caregivers talking to one another can be really powerful and supportive through this journey, because it's very hard. I've also been personally involved with the music and memory program, and seeing how these customized playlists with the big headphones that are really kind of hip right now with kids too. You put on the headphones and you have a customized playlist. And for some individuals experiencing dementia, if you get those playlists from times in their teenage years or when they got married, those songs, and some people can just awaken parts of them. And it's just phenomenal to see how, in some ways, parts, they come alive in a way, alive in a way that you just, only music can access those parts of the brain. So, and the Walk to End Alzheimer's is pretty big here in the Mid-Willamette Valley, and just want to make a plug for it. It's this Sunday at 11 a.m. At Oregon State University. The opening ceremony is at noon. So Lumina will have a team. We call them the Purple Turtles. We're a little slower, and we invite people to come and join us.
Nice. Slow and steady definitely wins the race. So, Trina.
Hello, everyone. I am the executive director out at the Arbor at Avamere Court. My connection with dementia and Alzheimer's is I've been in healthcare for 34 years. And throughout those years, I've taken care of people as a caregiver, as a med tech, and watch them develop dementia and how it progresses throughout their daily lives and the struggles that their families have. My community is strictly memory care. So everybody here has a form of dementia or Alzheimer's or another, and our staff specialize in the care for them. Russ's mother actually resided here before she passed away. So we got to know Russ really well.
Well, you ended up on mute, Scott. How did that happen?
There we go. I did have to clear my throat, and you want to keep that clean. So thank you very much. Yeah, this is actually where Trina, where Russ's broadcasting started. His first podcast was Happy Moments with Mama.
Yeah,
and he and his mother would come, and he'd put the phone up, and they'd sing songs, and yeah, it's great stuff to go back to as well, and probably a good place for people to think about what they want to do when they're caring for their loved one. Now, I'll just go back. When I was in my late 20s, my grandmother ended up with dementia. And I remember we were off to visit her, and there was just some changes in her personality that didn't make sense. And one of the things that really caught my wife's attention was my grandmother said she was covered with ants. And so she was just having this kind of a delusion about that. And then she was diagnosed, and she ended up going into a facility where my father was the primary person to oversee her care within that facility. And then he died when I was 33. And so I kind of got dumped into that area, having no clue what to do or really any resources on where to turn. And so I am glad that today we've got so much more available. Now, I do recall when we went to visit my grandmother that in her mind, I could only visit her for 10 minutes because she was at work when she was a young lady, and she was visiting with me on her break. And then she had to go back because her boss, she said, oh, she's a hard woman. So I could only visit her for 10 minutes at a time. And I told my wife, I said, well, I hope if I ever get to that stage that I don't end up back at work. And she said, Scott, no problem. You're going to end up in reruns of Star Trek. All right. So I want to just kind of go through and let's just open this up to a free discussion and talk about dementia, because it's not one thing. Alzheimer is one type. There's a number of different types of dementia that are out there, and caring for your loved one, whether it's in a professional facility or whether you're doing it at home, whether you're bringing in a paid caregiver. And my wife was a paid caregiver in just about 100 homes. So she had quite a bit of experience in that area. And every one of them, it's emotional. And in a way, it's almost as if you were the first person to ever enter that situation, caring for a family member. The other thing was my wife had been a former school teacher. And I kind of half jokingly saying that, wow, you probably use a lot of the same skills as dealing with young children as you do with people with dementia. Which is true, but with children, they're going to get better, right? They're going to become more independent, and it's very different with your loved one. So let's talk about the different types of dementia and maybe some of the signs that are out there. So we'll just open it up.
One of the first things that we have noticed and also heard from a lot of family members is how their loved one started exhibiting symptoms. They would forget simple things. They would forget, things that they needed at the grocery store, or they would forget to feed their cat, or, things like that. And then it would progress to they'd go for a walk and couldn't find their way home. Kinds of things. So, and the different dementias and versions of Alzheimer's progress at different paces. Not everybody's going to progress the same. One of the things that we've really noticed is they will be one way before they move in when the family starts looking. And sometimes once they move in, they take a sharp decline, because it's a totally different environment. It stresses them out. They get agitated. They don't understand what's happening. And then it makes it a little rougher on the family because they don't understand why is this happening so quickly. But that's just their disease progression and the way that individual progresses in that, and the effect that it has on them, taking them out of their home environment. But in the same token, the families don't always have a choice. They get worn out, they get tired. A lot of the time, by the time they come to us for help, they're so exhausted that they're just like, I need to move now. We can't do this anymore, because they're just tired and they just want to be a daughter, or they just want to be a wife or a husband or a grandchild, whoever is searching for that placement. And that's when we step in, and we're not just here for the residents, we're here for their families too, to support them throughout the entire process from move-in till they pass away. And in memory care, this is quite literally their last stop.
Jenni, I think you look like you were ready to say something there too.
Who, me?
Yeah.
Oh, no,
Looked
I
like
was,
you were ready to jump in a moment ago.
no, I was just saying, I think you were talking about people not understanding. I think I don't know about all the medically the different determinations, what it means to have a certain kind of dementia versus Alzheimer's versus something else, whatever. And sometimes I think sometimes that's very unclear in the medical field as well. It's just like where this came from. But I think what I noticed, the biggest thing is people not understanding that this is just a person that's just not forgetting. This is a person that can't remember. You know what I'm saying? It's like it's just a whole different thing. We did read I was working over at Timberwood Court for a while as a dual marketing position, and we did read a book called Hiding the Stranger in the Mirror. And I don't know if any of y'all have read that one, but it just really talks about how you really. Okay, so I don't know about y'all, but the older I get, I realize that I'm still really 35 inside, right? I mean, I inside my soul, I'm still somewhere like down there, like 30, 35. I'm not that, but I feel that way in my soul. And I think what happens in a dementia situation is people you're talking about saying that she thought she had to work, people start thinking about like they were in their prime times of their lives. Like a woman will go to the door or be waiting for her children to come home, or get off the school bus, or there's just lots of different scenarios, having to go back to work. I need to go home and tend to the garden or whatever it is. They'll go back to those stages in their life that they don't remember. They remember that's their life. They will look in the mirror and say, that's not me. In their mind, they still look like someone else. This book gives an example of a lady that got a haircut and hated her haircut, but she loved it when she got the haircut that she had when she was 35. Although she'd been wearing that same haircut for 20 years, she got the one that she had at 25 or 35, and she said, "That's me." So I think then what happens is then you get angry with people because they're not responding the way that you think they should. The caregiver does, I'm saying, or the spouse or whatever, or let them continue to do things. I know my mother let my dad continue to drive a car. He almost ran over some school bus kids, So it's just one of those things where you have to step back and go, I can't get angry about this. He's got no understanding, that he is wrong in this, that he is not doing the right thing. So I think that would be, for me, the thing that I noticed the most and would love to, with dealing with caregivers or people that work with people that have dementia, is just take a step back, put yourself in that shoes. What if you didn't, you don't remember, that he does not remember, just being that advocate for them, because there's no, I don't know if I'm saying that the best way, but they don't know. And to continue to act like they do, and they're just being, irresponsible or being, the pain in the rear, that they're not. It's really something they can't do, and that's what I've noticed so much about individual caretaking, that they don't understand that, that's
I've seen the caregivers that just have the ultimate patience.
Yeah.
Because we want to reason with somebody, right? We're rational and we want to reason. No, I told you it's not there.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But it's not going to stick.
No.
So you're going to have to keep saying that. And those who have ultimate patience and can take that, I'll say, rejection over and over again. Holly, Mennonite Village, continuous care retirement community. Can you expand a little bit about what that means as well for folks? And then we'll talk about this dementia too.
Absolutely. So that what that means is people can move into our community and they can basically stay here through all of the different types of care that they may need. So most folks come to us in independent living cottages, which are for folks 55 and over. And then we have an assisted living facility on our campus, as well as a nursing facility and a memory care facility as well. And when I say campus, it really is a campus. It's about 270 acres here in Albany. So a large place. And what's nice about coming and staying here is that people build this community. They build, a sense of community with their neighbors, and they know the people that live here. They know the staff. And within our memory care, which is called Lydia's House, named after the woman who donated her estate to build the first Mennonite home here many years ago, Lydia Stutzman. And we have two different sides to our memory care facility, which we like to call neighborhoods. So neighborhood A is for those who are early to mid stage in their dementia, and then our neighborhood B is for the mid to late stage. But we do trips around campus and around the building where the neighborhoods can come together and do activities together as well. And I think something that that Trina mentioned about caregivers is so important, that we're able to take care of them as well, because they really do have one of the hardest jobs. And just the different support groups that we have a support group for our folks, our caregivers that are here at Mennonite Village, but we also have one open to the community. So just offering that support for people to come in and share their experiences with each other, because nobody really gets it until you're in it. And I know that Lumina has some great support groups as well, and just takes really good care of their caregivers. And I think one of the best ways that we've heard in a support group is that people like to get through it with humor. They say you got to have a sense of humor if you're gonna be in this business, or if you're gonna take care of somebody. And so that's something that we try and have in our staff. We try and have a lot of fun. We just did an in-house field trip to Disneyland with our dementia patients, and it was just so much fun. We got mouse ears for everybody, and the staff got into it too and really enjoyed it. So we try to have fun here.
What a great way to go. And I know that there's research out there that talks about the caregivers, right? The caregiver for a spouse pouring everything into it, and their life expectancy is really shortened because of this. And Laura, let's continue the conversation.
Well, it's a really perfect segue. Thank you, Holly, for that compliment with our caregiving support groups. We're able to partner with the Mennonite Village to offer this to the community. But that point about humor, it really is so true. Holly had mentioned that bringing that into caregiving to help offset some of the stress is really important. And Lumina is fortunate to have received some grant funding from the Siletz Tribal Charitable Contribution Fund. And that's allowing us to offer a quarterly caregiver luncheon series. And so we actually have this topic of art and humor-based coping for caregivers coming up on September 24th. It's a free event at 12:30, includes a catered lunch, and we have a wonderful speaker. She's a licensed clinical social worker and a visual storyteller who moved to Corvallis, Oregon in 2021. Her name is Ari Cloak, and she's going to provide a bit of serious comedy, art-based interventions, and a safe space for laughter and tears as she colorfully shares from her personal art and photography exploration as a caregiver. So this unique program is at the Corvallis Community Center on Tuesday, September 24th at 12:30. And we hope that people who are interested in the social work side or caregiving, it's really a special event open to anybody in the community. And that's an example of some of the creative programming we're trying to develop within the community outreach department, which I work in at Lumina, to try to connect caregivers together so they're really not in isolation, because it's so easy to get into the grind, and to know that there are others that are going through this and that you can learn from each other is part of our mission to have ongoing groups. It's wonderful that we can bring them back into in-person settings. We did have some going on Zoom, and that actually enabled some caregivers to participate that didn't have respite, didn't have somebody that could help with their person they were caring for. So we're trying to decide if maybe keeping an online group might be something beneficial. But for now, we have funding from the Council of Governments that allows us to offer a 6-week class. It's called Powerful Tools for Caregivers. And it's coming up. It starts on September 26th to October 31st. It's 1 day a week. Meets on Thursdays at 10 a.m. at the Grace Center in Corvallis. And Scott, you had mentioned with your caregiving experience with your mother, there are some tools, there are some things that can come up that one might use in a teaching setting. And so we've found that, setting goals and problem solving and learning ways to navigate tough decisions, trying to communicate effectively, and locating valuable resources, reduce guilt. These are all some of what we consider powerful tools that our great team of trained facilitators help provide with those in this caregiving role. So a few times a year, we're able to offer this Powerful Tools for Caregivers class, and Holly's really well informed about this in our support group. She's been involved intimately with this in a few different levels. So we just feel really blessed to be part of a wider community that cares for really vulnerable people and families.
And I love that you brought up the respite care, because so many of the people that are involved in caregiving just feel like they can't leave, can't even go shopping, can't do these things. Trina, I see you nodding your head. What is respite care for those people who don't know? What is that, and where might that be available? Trina, let's start with you again.
Well, respite care is kind of a short stay kind of thing. So like if there's a family who's caring for mom or dad and they need a break, or they need to go on vacation for a couple of weeks or what have you, a lot of communities, even with assisted living and memory care buildings, they'll provide that. They can move them in for a couple of weeks for a short stay. And then when they get back, they can pick them up and they move out and go back home. Many times they will decide to permanently place their loved one because they're doing so well. And they enjoyed that break and that time off, and they just want to be the daughter. They just want to come in and visit and just love mom or dad and not have to have the stress of providing all the care that they're going to need.
It's so emotional. It's a skill set that is dumped on people, that or the responsibility, whether they have the skill set or not. And my wife and I, we were watching a program, it was a short, and I forget what the series was, but there was these one-off shorts. And in the story, this woman was a scientist, and she was also the caregiver for her mother, who was in dementia. And she invented this time machine so that she could go into the future where there was the cure and then come back. But as the story evolves, she ends up talking to her sister. And what was really happening was she didn't go into the future to find the cure. She went into the future because she just needed to get away. It was just really powerful story. Let's continue this about respite care and some of the other tools. So groups, we've got some groups that are out there that people can participate in, whether they're face-to-face, they're a time-limited class, or they're virtual. Definitely people should be involved in this. This is not something you should ever try by yourself. And what other tools are out there? What other resources do people have?
Well, Lumina, we're lucky to have a team of over 100 volunteers, and they really are what help our clinical team provide care. And so unlike some of the other panelists, we don't have a facility. Our team goes to visit wherever our patients call home. And in some cases, it's private homes. In other cases, it is at facilities. And with that, some people are lonely, and or the caregiver just really needs to go run an errand or just take a few hours to themselves. And thankfully, we have volunteers that are willing to and love to go and be present, provide companionship, to engage in. We have some that engage in playing games like chess. That is something that somebody really likes, and those volunteers are just a really great tool that help to give the break to caregivers that we've found helps our patients and families at Lumina.
What other resources do we have out there?
I
Jenni,
just want to add on to the volunteer piece. I know volunteers at Lumina, and we've had some volunteer residents here at Mennonite Village actually hand make little lap blankets that we like to call fidget blankets or fidget quilts, and they have zipper pulls or sequins, buttons, just things that can kind of keep the hands busy, and those really help with behaviors and agitation in dementia patients. So that's a huge blessing when people can make those. Some people are just so talented with that, and others like me are not talented when it comes to craft making. So we really appreciate that. And Laura also touched on the Grace Center, which is an adult day center that we have available in Corvallis for people who need that respite care. So they're a really great resource that we have here in the Willamette Valley.
I believe that Grace Center is a national award winner as well.
I believe they are. They've done some really innovative things, and they're always just evolving their services that they offer. They do an annual summit about aging and dementia, and they're very well known.
I don't think I have anything that has to do with respite. We used to have respite here at the Oaks, but we just stay so full that it's kind of hard to have a room that's furnished and everything for a respite type space. But
any resources, we're just looking, any kind of resources that you have available for, and we're looking for, what's going to help the caregivers, like education and so forth. Go ahead.
Well, we have it's something that I think that we could actually train caregivers in as well. We haven't kind of started that yet, but a program that Frontier Management has is a Montessori type program for people with dementia, giving them being able to find actual things that they can still do to feel like they have purpose and meaning in life. Instead of just sitting around watching TV or whatever it is that people want to just put them in front of something to keep them, like we do our 2-year-old sometimes, I got to calm me down. Go watch this real quick. It's a Montessori program that actually, we have residents here. We do have dementia residents here, just not those that are unsafe to themselves or others. But we do have dementia residents. So residents with dementia, finding things for them to do that are beneficial to the community, so that they feel like they have a purpose and a need. People that have done a lot of gardening, they want to go out there and deadhead the flowers. We let them deadhead the flowers. Of course, we have a service that does that too, but they get out there and they do that. They think that's a purpose, rolling napkins and taking care of some things in the dining room, or there's just a lot of different things that this program does. That it's called the Spark program, and it's just based on Montessori type thing. That would actually, I'm just thinking out loud right now, it would actually be a program that would be really good to teach your home caregivers, like is there something mom and dad can do that they would still feel like they have a purpose, and so I think that's important. People need to know, that they're still a part of their community, a part of their family, part of what that so anyway, that's kind of where we end up with dementia, working with dementia and finding those spaces for them that they can actually find purpose.
Absolutely. As humans, we need purpose. And there was actually research that was done where they looked at adults in professional facilities, and they gave some houseplants to care for.
Yeah.
And those who had the houseplants compared to those who didn't in the control group, those with the plants were healthier, happier, live longer, and so forth, right? Because at least they're caring for a plant and they feel some sense of purpose. So that's a huge, huge thing.
Yeah. We have raised flower beds here that they can work in. We've got a garden space. It's small, but a little garden space that they can dig and plant in. And it just feeling like they have some kind of purpose. Yeah, it's great.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right. So caregivers, giving, I'll just say, whether you're a family member or you're a paid caregiver, I'll just say this is a growing need. We were talking about this in the green room beforehand, that it just seems like this is bigger and more. And it's probably because there are just more folks, more of us getting older and living longer. And so let's kind of talk about what's the future? Where are we headed? What are the trends that we're seeing in the industry and with support for caregivers? What do people have that's going to be better in a year, 5 years, 10 years? Because I know there's folks out there that I'll just say everyone is going to be affected by caregiving at some point. Just like everyone's affected by cancer, everyone is affected by caregiving. Either it's your family, a friend, or yourself. What does the future look like? Where's the industry going?
I think I'd like to broaden it a little bit. Please. To the Oregon Geriatric Conference. Okay. That's coming up next month in Sun River, Oregon, October 10th to 13th. Is the annual conference that really focuses on the medical community. And so many of these topics are what our clinical side is really wrestling with as well. And so we're really fortunate in Lumina to have some specialists on staff. Our medical doctors are phenomenal and are trained, have special interests in dementia care, specifically Dr. Helen Gao. It is one of her special interests. And it's my understanding that she is a bit unique with having this focus. And I think the medical society is continuing to see that gerontology is something that we really all around is something that's affecting communities and families. And so while trying to care for the patient, they're also stepping into leadership roles and helping to teach within their community. And that just kind of trickles down. So I think looking to the leaders, the specialists on the clinical side is where we're trying to get some of our guidance on building out programs that can really meet these changing needs. And Dr. Gao will be presenting at the conference next month. And I think I'm just pulling up the topic real quick. It's the Clinical Pearls from Hospice, Practical Solutions to Urgent Problems is one of the topics.
So lots of good stuff. Plus you get to go to Sun River. So
she does.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to recommend, and it's probably just because this is being made more aware to me through the work my wife is doing at agingbetternetwork.com. Is it seems like universities are taking on a little bit more responsibility. I know here in Waco, the Baylor University has I think it's gerontology as a minor right now. And so we'd like to see it elevated to a major that people are focusing on. What other trends are we seeing? So Laura, thank you.
I can't speak for caregiving trends, but I think seeing the trends for helping there not be so many people getting dementia and seeing all the lifestyle changes, I think we're coming to understand that some of the things that we have done in our past also can and so your health basically. So people, I guess I'm Am I stopping for y'all too, or do I just look like I'm a robot to me?
No, you're
Like,
good. You're
okay,
good.
I'm doing this thing. But anyway, uh, so just talking about alcohol use, smoking, just the way we eat, the things that we put in so maybe it's not for a caregiving and it's not for someone necessarily, it's already in that dementia part, but looking ahead to the future for our parents and for our children and for us, what are we doing with our bodies and how are we taking care of them, exercise, that kind of thing. They're finding that a lot of that has to do with whether or not someone ends up, their lifestyle can determine whether they may have memory issues as they age. So I think that's a really good trend to start looking at that versus as much as or more than we look at medication. It's what's going to heal something or what's going to treat symptoms. Let's look at what's going to heal. And I think they're starting to do that at this point. What's going to keep from, causing it and what's going to heal it versus just, treating symptoms, which I love that. I think that's really awesome because I think a lot of it can be changed. So.
Mm-hmm. Trina, Holly?
I think a trend that we should start is one where people are talking about these types of things earlier on. I just went through the process of reading and signing off on my mother's advance directive, and I think those types of conversations are really important. And most likely the person that the caregiver is caring for has already had that conversation and had theirs completed, but the caregivers themselves really, I think, need to look into the importance of that, because caregiver burnout is such a real thing, and your health can really decline quickly when you're in that situation. So just having a plan for what you want as a caregiver, who's going to take care of you when you're in that situation, is just so important.
It's amazing, Holly, that you bring that up. So my wife, Christine, was a caregiver at Mennonite Village. So she was deployed out to homes throughout the valley. And that's one of the things that she found was so many of the family members who were there, either they were the direct caregiver or they were there as a support. That was a common question they asked is, who's going to take care of me? And this is really something you have to look to say, what am I going to do today? I love preventative health. I think this is a great thing to do. What are the things that we can get rid of today that are going to put me at risk? That's smart, right? I mean, that's a good thing to do. And then having these conversations. So Trina, maybe we come to you and go, what should I do? What should Scott and Christine be doing? Maybe contacting you, or what are some practical steps that people can take today to protect themselves for the future?
Oh, goodness.
On the spot.
Really, it's educating yourselves. Educate yourself on what this disease is, how it progresses, what you can do to try to slow the onset and the progression of it. A lot of it is self-care, and touching on what Jenni mentioned a little bit ago about our lifestyles when we're younger can greatly affect the onset and the progression of the disease process as we get older. And then touching on what Holly said about caregiver burnout, that is so prevalent, and we are seeing it more and more frequently as time goes on. And one of the best things that anybody can do is really educate yourself on what this disease is. What does it cause? What can you do to help yourself while still helping your loved one with the disease without burning yourself out? And also knowing when to say, I can't do this anymore, and that there's no shame in that. It's okay to not be able to do it. It's okay, because this disease progresses to a point where there's not a whole lot you can do. You can't slow the progression anymore. You can't make it stop, because it's really a tough thing, especially for a family member, because technically you're losing your loved one twice. And that's the toughest part, because you lose them when they start losing their ability to function normally. And then when they pass away, you're losing them all over again. So it makes it really difficult. And having that support, going to support groups, learning more about the disease process can go really a long way towards gaining that understanding of what this really is and what needs to be done for them. One of the things that we do here is we have a program called Dementia Live, and we put people through specific tasks using specific items so they can gain a better understanding of what their loved one goes through every day. It goes through imitating macular degeneration, dexterity issues, pain issues. We have them try to button a blouse wearing a pair of gloves. We put on dark sunglasses that mimic tunnel vision, so they have no peripheral, and we're asking them to sort buttons or sort silverware or feed the dog or, these kinds of things. And we've done that with a lot of our staff, but we've also started doing it in our community support group as well. And we've had families come to us and go, wow, I didn't realize this is what mom or dad was going through. And really, quite literally, there's a piece of them still in there. Yeah, all the way to the end, there is still a piece of them in there, and we need to realize that and understand that. And this program of Dementia Live really helps families and caregivers alike understand their everyday and what they experience and where their frustrations come from.
Trina, that is a great wrap up. And I want to go through with Jenni, Laura, and Holly and get a final wrap up from you, and then also people how to get a hold of you. And so, Trina, how do people get a hold of you?
Well, we are on, we can be Google searched. We also have an ad in the Kaiser Times. We also are networking with the Salem Kaiser Chambers. We're on Facebook as well. So just reach out to us. Anybody can reach out to us, and we get back with them in under 4 hours. So we make sure that you have the care and the resources and guidance that you need.
Nice. Laura, how do folks get a hold of you?
Well, to learn about more of our programs and services, please look at luminahospice.org, and also just giving us a call at the office. 541-757-9616 is a great way to start.
All right. And Jenni?
Well, I am at the Oaks at Lebanon. I do just get out my phone number, 541-619-0556. You can call me directly that way. The Oaks at Lebanon is definitely a Google search, just Google assisted living in the Mid Valley, and you probably pop up first. So that's pretty awesome. But yeah, just give us a call. Give me a call personally as well.
Fabulous. And Holly?
Yeah, I will echo all of those, MennoniteVillage.org, and we're also on Facebook as well. And I see Russ is putting our contact information in here for you. And I think that Dementia Live program just sounds so great. It's like I said, until you're in it, you just don't understand it. So that's so wonderful that program is available.
Well, on behalf of Russ, I want to just say thank you to all of you who have joined today in this discussion. So Trina, Jenni, Laura, and Holly, thank you so much for sharing these insights. This is just a continuing discussion, and I know people should be reaching out to you, putting together some plans, maybe having salad for dinner. I don't know. and then going for a walk afterwards. So
I think you should go have fajitas for my sake. Just go someplace.
There we go. Okay, fajitas will work. Yeah. Stay away from processed food. All right. So thank you to all of you. I'm going to put this back up. And on behalf of Russ, this has been Russ Reels Live every Thursday at 4 p.m. Pacific time. right here on LinkedIn, Facebook, and YouTube today, Dementia and Caring for Those You Love. Thank you to our guests. Thank you to the sponsors, Kicking Cancer, Fidelity National Title, and Serve Pro at Team McGinnis. And with that, we're going to sign off and say thank you to everybody